Hey, what's going on, Generation Iron fans? Nick Trigili here, IFBB Pro. Bring you guys some breaking news that Arnold just announced that he's interested and showing curiosity towards making bodybuilding tested. Now, my opinion on this is we already have tested federations. And what do? They're failures. There's no exposure. There's nobody entering them. We don't see any crazy physiques. We don't see huge competition there. We don't get big turnouts. And the physiques are very subpar. We don't see any like freaks coming out of there or people that deserve to be in the magazines or people we want to look up to. The fan base doesn't get drawn towards natural competitors. Everyone's drawn towards people who are enhanced. And that's because it's a freak show. You know, we go to bodybuilding shows because we want to see freaks. We want to see people push their bodies past limits. Why do we go watch football games, basketball games, baseball games? We want to see athletes push themselves to the very, very, very brink of breaking. And that's what bodybuilding is. We're pushing our physiques to the max. Now, the only way you can do that is if you're using performance-enhancing drugs. We're not going to go to bodybuilding shows and watch someone natural on stage, let's be realistic, and compete every single time with their bodies naturally in their natural state, you know? And what does testing really mean? They're going to test the guy the day of the show, so what does that mean? He could take fast-acting drugs. They could be out of the system way before the test even happens. So basically they could prep with drugs their entire time and then get them out of their system in time before testing because they know exactly when it's going to happen. The amount of money it would take to go into testing these guys, all the time during the preparation would never even happen. How to keep track of all the people doing a show would never even happen. This is not the UFC where they have an organization where there's only X amount of people in it. The Bodybuilding Federation, there's millions of people bodybuilding. To keep track of everyone doing the shows would just never happen. There's not enough money behind it. There's no one that's going to support that. The sport is doing just fine the way it is. There's no need to alter it now. I think it's a really silly thing for Arnold to say at this point, especially when he was a bodybuilder at his time and he started using performance-enhancing drugs when he was very young. It's what made his career. I think it's being very hypocritical on his part for saying that. I know he's probably politically saying it to be right and correct in the public eye, but who are you angering? Who are you infuriating? You're infuriating people that are in the sport. You're infuriating people that are actually do this for a living and put their blood, sweat, and tears into this sport. And just because we use performance-enhancing drugs doesn't mean that we're anything less than anyone else, or we don't try as hard as anyone else. And I agree with him in the one part where it is getting out of hand. I do. But that's the way the sport is. It's evolving. Eventually it'll come back and it'll tone down. And as you can see, the physiques aren't as crazy as it was at the Olympia a few years back where it was just a bunch of mass monsters on stage with bloated stomachs and 300-pound bodies on stage. It's much different this past Olympia. Look at our Olympia winner, Sean Ronan, much more streamlined. So I think it will take a turn for the better. It's only a matter of time. And I don't think drugs have to be removed from the equation. I don't think that's going to solve any problems. I just think maybe the judges have to control what they like and what they don't like. And that'll determine how much someone's using or how far they're going to push their bodies. How extreme are they going to, push the drugs? I think the drugs is a percentage of what makes bodybuilding fun. It's part of the experiment. It's training, supplements, and nutrition. That's what makes bodybuilding awesome. And it makes it more competitive. Who has the better edge? Who has the better stuff? Who's going to push their bodies further? Who's willing to take it to the next level? And I think that's what makes great champions. That's what makes the sport even better. So I guess Arnold, in the limelight, he has to say things to appease people and to stay in the relevant and the people in the public eye. And I get it. So that's probably why he had to say that. But by no means do I ever think bodybuilding will ever be tested, at least, for the mainstream part of the sport, like the IFBB, NPC. I don't think that'll ever change. I don't think Jim Mannion and them will ever go that route because it's almost nearly impossible to go that route, first of all. And second of all, the amount of money it would take and organization, and it just would never happen. To think about it and talk about it, that's fine, but to actually see it happen and pan out, it'll never come to fruition. This sport is doing great as it is. It always has. There's no need to fix something that's broken. If Arnold wants to go into that market, then he'll go into that market by himself because he's not obligated by any means to stick with the IFBB forever. So If Arnold wants to go support another federation, that could happen. I could see that. But as far as the IBB and MPC and Jim Mannion Pro League, they're going to stay probably where they are. I don't see them changing anytime soon. So that's just my 2 cents on this whole, Arnold putting out that statement saying that he wants tested bodybuilding. Well, there's federations out there already, Arnold. So if you want to go see a tested organization, there's plenty of them. You can pick and choose whatever you want to use, NABA, WABA, whatever all those different federations are. You don't see that many shows around there. You don't see many bodybuilders coming out of there. So that just tells you what the caliber of physiques are. So that's just my 2 cents on this subject. If you guys have not liked and not shared this or followed Generation Iron, please do so. If you don't follow me at Nick World Class, please do so on Instagram. And this is Nick Trigili, IBB Pro, signing out.